Have you ever found yourself overwhelmed by thoughts that seem to pull you down, even when everything outside appears fine? That inner critic, the voice of fear or doubt, the cycle of overthinking and mental exhaustion, all these arise from within your own mind. The Buddha once said, "Nothing can harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts." This may sound harsh, but it holds a powerful truth. Our mind can be our greatest enemy, creating suffering where there need not be any. But the reverse is also true. The same mind, when trained and understood, can become our greatest source of peace, wisdom, and liberation. In this comprehensive exploration, we will dive deep into the Buddhist teachings on how the mind becomes our enemy, how to recognize its patterns, and more importantly, how to master it through mindfulness, wisdom, and inner discipline. These insights will not only clarify the ancient teachings, but also provide practical tools for modern life. Whether you are facing anxiety, restlessness, self-doubt, or just seeking greater peace, this is a journey worth taking. Let us begin. The Buddha emphasized that the mind is the forerunner of all things. Every word, action, and perception originates in thought. A pure mind brings joy and harmony. A clouded mind brings conflict and pain. If we want to understand the quality of our lives, we must first look at the state of our minds. Just as a lens can distort or clarify what we see, our minds shape every experience. When our thoughts are dominated by fear, anger, or attachment, even beauty and kindness can feel like threats. Imagine two people walking through the same forest. One sees beauty and serenity. The other sees danger and darkness. The difference, not the forest, but the mind observing it. The Buddha never encouraged blind faith. Instead, he taught us to investigate our own minds, to observe how suffering arises and how it can be ended. Our mind becomes our enemy, not because it intends to harm us, but because it operates out of habit. These habits are formed by years of unexamined thoughts, reactions, and beliefs. The Buddha identified three main roots of suffering. 1. Attachment, raga, our clinging to pleasure, comfort, people, and outcomes. 2. Aversion, dvesha, our resistance to discomfort, pain, failure, and change. 3. Delusion, moha, our ignorance of the true nature of reality, of impermanence and interdependence. These three poisons, as they are called, influence our minds constantly. A mind ruled by these cannot see clearly. It reacts impulsively, distorts the truth, and creates suffering. This is why the Buddha said, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." The untrained mind is often compared to a monkey, jumping from one branch of thought to another, never staying still. This monkey mind is easily distracted, reactive, and unsettled. It's what makes us replay painful conversations, worry endlessly about the future, judge ourselves and others harshly, lose sleep over imagined fears. The Buddha taught that just like a lake disturbed by wind cannot reflect clearly, our minds cannot reflect reality when they are agitated by desires and fears. Another major cause of suffering is our belief that we can and should control everything. We want life to go our way, people to behave how we expect, and outcomes to be guaranteed. When reality doesn't match our expectations, we suffer. The Buddha taught that this craving for control is rooted in ego, the belief that we are separate from the world, and that our desires define our truth. In truth, the world is impermanent, ever-changing. We cannot control every event, but we can control our reactions, and that's where freedom begins. The great news is that the mind, no matter how restless or negative, can be transformed. The Buddha laid out a path of mental training and inner discipline. 1. Mindfulness, sati, the art of non-judgmental, present moment awareness. 2. Concentration, samadhi, deep mental focus and stillness. 3. Wisdom, prajna, clear seeing into the nature of reality. Let's break these down further. Mindfulness, seeing clearly. When we practice mindfulness, we observe our thoughts like clouds passing through the sky. We don't chase them. We don't judge them. We simply notice. This creates a gap between stimulus and response. Instead of reacting impulsively, we can respond with clarity and compassion. Mindfulness also helps us catch negative mental patterns, self-criticism, blame, fear-based thinking. We can interrupt them and choose a wiser response. Concentration, training the mind. Through regular meditation, we build concentration. Just as a muscle grows with use, the mind becomes steadier with consistent attention. The breath is the most common anchor. Each time the mind wanders and we bring it back to the breath, we're strengthening our mental muscles. A concentrated mind is less likely to be hijacked by anxiety or distraction. Wisdom, understanding the nature of suffering. Ultimately, the goal is not just to calm the mind, but to understand it. The Buddha taught the Four Noble Truths. 1. There is suffering. 2. There is a cause of suffering, attachment. 3. There is an end to suffering, nirvana. 4. There is a path to the end of suffering, Eightfold Path. By understanding these truths deeply, we gain insight into how suffering is created and how it can be ended. Let's briefly look at each step. 1. Right view, understanding the impermanence of life. 2. Right intention, cultivating thoughts of kindness and renunciation. 3. Right speech, speaking truthfully and compassionately. 4th, right action, behaving ethically and with care. 5. Right livelihood, earning a living without harm. 6th, right effort, letting go of unwholesome states, developing wholesome ones. 7. Right mindfulness, being aware of body, mind, and feelings. 8. Right concentration, deepening meditative focus. This path is not a set of commandments, but a framework for training the mind and purifying the heart. In our modern world, the mind is under constant bombardment. Social media, news, deadlines, distractions. Never before has mental mastery been more urgent. You can begin with morning meditation, 10 minutes of breath awareness, daily reflection. Ask, what am I feeding my mind today? Conscious speech. Pause before reacting. Mindful walking. Feel each step. Gratitude journaling. Train the mind to see the good. Each practice, though simple, rewires your brain. Neuroscience confirms what the Buddha knew 2,500 years ago. What we repeatedly focus on becomes our reality. The mind, when untrained, distorts the world. But when cultivated, it reflects truth like a calm lake. Buddhism does not ask us to reject the world, but to understand our place in it. We don't need to destroy the ego, just see through its illusions. The mind can be purified, not by force, but by gentle awareness. As the Buddha said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. If your mind has been your enemy, take heart. You now hold the map to transform it. Through daily practice, honesty, and self-compassion, your mind can become your ally, a source of wisdom, joy, and freedom. The Buddha didn't speak these words as theory. He lived them, practiced them, and shared them. And now, they are yours. Thank you for joining this journey with the Enlightened Mind. May your mind become your refuge, your guide, and your gateway to awakening. If this message resonates with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more timeless teachings from the Buddha and beyond.